Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're continuing our college football bowl predictions today, and this Friday, December 29th, we have 5 bowl games to predict, including our first New Year's Six bowl game. So we have tons of exciting matchups. We're going to go ahead and break those down and predict and analyze each one for you. And our 5 games on December 29th are the Belk Bowl between Wake Forest and Texas A&M, the Sun Bowl between number 24 North Carolina State and Arizona State, the Music City Bowl between Kentucky and number 21 Northwestern, the Arizona Bowl between New Mexico State and Utah State, and then the Cotton Bowl, number 8 USC versus number 5 Ohio State, which is our first New Year's Six bowl game. So all very exciting games, all intriguing games to watch, and big games for these respective schools. We'll start up here with the Belk Bowl between Wake Forest and Texas A&M. On the Wake Forest side, I got to admit that I definitely did miss the mark on them this season. I had them 2-10 in my preseason prediction. A couple of you have commented on that. I admitted I was wrong. They're 7-5 at this point right now. A lot of that credit has to go to John Walford, the quarterback for Wake Forest. He's been playing some tremendous football, and he's going to be the key if the Demon Deacons want to beat the Aggies. Now, for Texas A&M, as we all know, they fired Kevin Sumlin. We all knew that was probably coming this season unless he had a breakout year. He's gone. They brought in Jimbo Fisher from Florida State, one of the best hires this offseason. So I'm very curious to see what he does for the Aggies. But of course, he will not be coaching in this game. So the key for Wake Forest in this game is, of course, relying on their quarterback Walford to have a big game, but also shutting down Texas A&M's dynamic wide receiver in Christian Kirk, who could be playing his final college game if he decides to declare for the NFL draft. And he's very explosive, one of the best in the country, if not indefinitely the SEC. He can change a game easily on a punt return, kickoff return, or just taking a quick slant 80 yards to the house. So anything can happen with Christian Kirk. If Wake Forest shuts him down, should be a fairly easy day for them. If not, he has a big game, which he very well could. Things could get ugly. But I like Wake Forest in this one to go get the win over a pretty quality SEC school. And they'll cap off an 8-win season, which is huge for the Demon Deacons. And another contributing factor as well is Wake Forest is only playing this game about 90 minutes from their campus. So expect a huge crowd of Demon Deacon fans there. Should be a very fun environment in the Belk Bowl. I'm very excited to watch this game. And then the Sun Bowl between number 24 North Carolina State and Arizona State. We'll start with Arizona State over here. First off, Manny Wilkins, a very solid quarterback. He should have a pretty good game against the North Carolina State defense. I'm very curious to see how that goes. But the bigger storyline, of course, is that Todd Graham, their head coach, will be coaching his final game with the Sun Devils. They have fired him, but he will be coaching this game, and they brought in Herm Edwards to replace Graham at the end of the season. Herm Edwards, I thought, was probably one of the better hires this offseason. Very underrated, if you ask me. So I'm very excited to watch him transform the Sun Devils team. So that's something to keep your eye on going into this game. Now, North Carolina State, their junior quarterback, Ryan Finley, has been playing some of the best football I've seen in a long time. A very solid quarterback here, and he's wanting to go out. I do not think he'll declare for the NFL draft since he's only a junior, but he wants to get North Carolina State to a 9-win mark, which is huge for them. Also, you've got to keep in mind, senior defensive end Bradley Chubb has been wreaking havoc in the ACC. I expect him to do the same thing against Arizona State. The motivation is there for the Sun Devils to win and sit Todd Graham out. And their seniors out with the win in their final game, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the 24th ranked Wolfpack will be able to go into the Sun Bowl and get a win over Arizona State, and that will then kickstart the Herm Edwards era with the Sun Devils. And then you got the Music City Bowl, or the Wildcat Bowl, if you want to call it that. The Kentucky Wildcats and the number 21 Northwestern Wildcats. Kentucky, of course, has a very dynamic offense led by Benny Snell, one of the best running backs in the SEC, and of course, a very dynamic quarterback in Steven Johnson. Dual threat, has a heck of an arm. So those two players are going to have huge games in the Music City Bowl if they have any chance of defeating the 9-3 Northwestern Wildcats. Now, for Northwestern, they also have a very dynamic running back and quarterback duo, Justin Jackson at running back, and then Clayton Thorson at quarterback. Very dynamic players. And if you remember, Northwestern had a horrible start to the season, then went on a tear for the rest of the season, got to the 9-3 mark. I had them at 10-2. I knew what they were capable of. They just weren't able to start off the season the way they should have. But they ended up finishing extremely strong. They're on a roll. I really like Northwestern in this game. I don't think Kentucky's defense has enough to stop the dynamic duo of Thorson and Jackson. I think they're able to get their 10th win in the Music City Bowl. What should be a fun one. And then the Arizona Bowl, New Mexico State, obviously the Cinderella story of this entire season, have not been to a bowl game since 1960. 57 years without a bowl game. And who did they play back in 1960 in their only bowl game in school history? They played the Utah State Aggies. So A lot of emotions riding high in this one. Doug Martin did a great job getting New Mexico State back to a bowl game. I got to give a lot of credit to him, but you've also got to give a lot of credit to their quarterback and Tyler Rogers. He's been doing great. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the Sun Belt. He doesn't get a lot of credit for what he's done for this program, but he has a heck of an arm. But they're going up against a fairly stingy Utah State defense, and of course Utah State in the Mountain West has played better opponents than New Mexico State in the Sun Belt. But I've got to go with the New Mexico State Aggies and not the Utah State Aggies in this one. I mean, emotions are riding high. They want this game. The players want this game. The fans want this game. This is going to be a super fun one to watch if you get the chance. I got to go with New Mexico State on this one. I really do feel like Tyler Rogers is going to have a big day, and they're going to get themselves a winning season, I think for the first time since 2002. So expect for some fun stuff here for New Mexico State versus Utah State. I'm very excited to watch this game. And then the Cotton Bowl between number 8 USC and number 5 Ohio State, our only New Year's Six bowl of the day, but also our first one. Heck of a quarterback battle. We got to start off there. Sam Darnold of USC versus JT Barrett against Ohio State. That's going to be a really fun QB battle to watch. Both are going to have to enter, I assume will enter the NFL draft. JT Barrett is finally playing his final college game. He feels like he's been at Ohio State forever now. He's finally a senior, so he will be out. Sam Darnold, many expect that he might go ahead and enter the NFL draft. It's not a definite yet, but I assume if he has a good game in this one, he will enter. And of course, we have two conference champions here. Ohio State just missing out on the college football playoff. That was the big debate. Does Alabama get in, or does Ohio State, who defeated undefeated Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship, do they get in? They just missed out. Alabama got the 4th spot. And then USC, of course, defeating Stanford in the Pac-12 championship game. So it's kind of like an extra playoff game for us. Neither made it, but they were both very capable of making it. Just had a few slip-ups down the road. So it's going to be a really fun one to watch. I expect a lot of points to be scored in this game, especially with the two offenses these guys have. I'm going to have to go with Ohio State in this one. I feel that, of course, JT Barrett wants to go out on top in this game, his final college game of his career. I feel they had the better offense to go up against this USC defense. And one thing I also want to mention is, of course, Ohio State is going to be very angry after the committee left them out of the top 4. The last time that happened, you got to keep in mind, was TCU when they faced Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl just a few years back. TCU just missed out on making the college football playoff, and they came into that game and annihilated Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl. I don't think Ohio State will annihilate USC, but I think they're going to be extremely angry, and they want this game to show that they deserve to be in the playoff, and Ohio State will get the win in the Cotton Bowl. So these are our 5 games for December 29th, all very solid games. Only going to get better from there. We'll have a full day of games on December 30th, take a day off on New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day, that's when we're going to have tons of good games, including the 2 biggest ones with the 2 playoff games. So get ready for those. It's going to be a great next couple of days before we hit those playoff games on January 1st. Thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.